Assalamualaikum students.
Yes.
Okay, today we'll study the blood supply of the lower limb. We'll study the blood supply of the lower limb. So these are the objectives related to this topic. That is, state the origin, the cause, the main branches of the main arteries of the lower limb, which includes the femoral artery, popliteal artery, anterior tibial artery, as well as the posterior tibial artery. Then mention the beginning and termination of the main veins of the lower extremity. Okay, and list their tributaries. Then identify the clinical important superficial veins of the lower extremity. Then mention the surface anatomy of the great arteries of the lower limb, that is the femoral as well as dorsal pedis artery. Okay, just like in case of the upper limb we did surface anatomy, here also we will study. Then mention the surface anatomy of the saphenous as well as the femoral veins. So these are some important specific objectives. So we'll begin with the blood supply, that is the arterial supply of the lower limb. Okay. So the arteries and veins of the lower limb will be studied here. In this, the two important vessels will be, one is the femoral artery and the great saphenous vein, which are clinically very important. One is the femoral artery, and then the second is the great saphenous vein, which are clinically important. The femoral artery with its branches is the main artery of the lower limb. So femoral artery, if you see here, there is an artery coming from the pelvis. Okay, and entering the lower limb. When it enters the lower limb, then it is called as the femoral artery, covered by the femoral sheath. Femoral sheath is outside, inside is the femoral artery. Okay, then there is also a very important vein called as the great saphenous vein. With its tributaries is the main vein of the lower limb. So the great saphenous vein, if you see here, there is a vein coming, opening into the femoral vein. This vein here, this is called as the great saphenous vein. We'll study it in detail. Okay, one is the femoral artery, and the second structure is the great saphenous vein. Femoral artery is the main artery for the lower limb, and great saphenous vein is the main vein of the lower limb. Coming to the first one is the femoral artery. So this is the chief artery of the lower limb. So if you see here, this is the femoral artery. It is continuous from the external iliac artery. It is the continuation of the external iliac artery. Formation, it is the continuation of the external iliac artery. Here, if you see here, this is the abdominal aorta, and it divides into common iliac artery right and left. Then it divides into the internal iliac and the external iliac. External iliac will continue into the lower limb as the femoral artery. Okay, so femoral artery is the continuation of the external iliac artery, you should remember, and begins behind the inguinal ligament. There is a ligament here. If you see in the previous picture, you can appreciate this is the ligament. So this is called as the inguinal ligament. So beyond the inguinal ligament, whatever artery is there, that is called as the femoral artery. So it begins behind the inguinal ligament here and then continues. Okay, so it is at the mid inguinal point. If you see, it will be at the mid inguinal point. Mid inguinal point, it is in the middle here. So somewhere it will come here. So it is just behind the mid inguinal point. Okay. Extent and course of this femoral artery, it extends from the, as we saw, from the mid inguinal point to the upper border of the popliteal fossa. So it will come forward like this, then it winds later. I will show you how the course of this artery will go. Okay, so it will be going up to the upper border of the popliteal fossa. We'll see the popliteal fossa later, where it will continue as the popliteal artery. So what are the branches of the femoral artery? Because this is the main artery of the lower limb, so you should know what are the branches it will give. It will give three superficial and three deep branches. Three superficial and three deep branches. The superficial branches will be the superficial external pudendal artery, superficial epigastric, as well as the superficial circumflex iliac arteries. So here is the femoral artery. When it is branching, it is giving these. If you can see here, this is the superficial circumflex iliac artery. Okay. Then there will be the other branch here above going, that will be the superficial epigastric. Okay. Then we also have the superficial external pudendal artery. All these are the superficial branches. Then it gives very important branches, deep branches. One is the profunda femoris artery, one of the main artery of the thigh. It will give down here. Later we'll see. Okay, so you see here, this is the main artery, femoral artery, and it is giving one branch here. This is called as the profunda femoris artery. Okay, we'll talk about that in detail later. Then we have the many muscular branches it will be giving to all the muscles of the lower limb. So these are some of the important branches from the femoral artery. Three superficial and three deep branches. Superficial branches will be the superficial external pudendal, superficial epigastric, as well as superficial circumflex iliac artery. Then the deep branches will be the one of the very important artery, the profunda femoris artery. Along with that, the deep external pudendal as well as the muscular branches. Okay. Now, going to the contents of the femoral artery, femoral triangle, sorry, there is a triangle in the thigh just below the inguinal ligament. We saw that just below the inguinal, mid-inguinal point, this femoral artery will be coming down. Okay. There is a triangle here called as the femoral triangle. Femoral triangle. So, what are the structures which are there in the femoral triangle? One of the very important structure is the femoral artery itself. So that's why it is called as femoral triangle. There is a triangle here, which is called as the femoral triangle. Within that, one of the most important branch is the femoral artery and its branches. In branches, you can see here, this is the circumflex, superficial circumflex iliac artery, then the epigastric artery, then the pudendal artery, all those. Along with that, there is just beside that, there is the femoral vein, femoral artery, femoral vein, and here is the great saphenous vein opening into the femoral vein. So this great saphenous vein is the main vein of the lower limb. So it will drain into the femoral vein. From there it will go up. Okay, so this is the femoral artery and the femoral vein. It's two important contents of the femoral triangle. This is the femoral triangle here. Okay, femoral artery and its branches, femoral vein and its tributaries. Then there is the sheath covering all these two structures, that is called as the femoral sheath. As we saw in the previous picture, if you see here, it is covered by a whitish structure called as the femoral sheath. The whole structures, femoral artery and femoral vein, are covered by the femoral sheath. Then there are some nerves. Which are those? One of the very important nerve is the femoral nerve itself. So there is femoral nerve, femoral artery, femoral vein. So everything is femoral because it is present in the femoral triangle. Okay. Now also along with that, there is nerve to the pectineus. There will be a nerve to pectineus, femoral branch of the genitofemoral nerve, as well as the lateral cutaneous nerve of the thigh. All this will be present here within the femoral triangle. Along with that, there will be very important limb nodes called as the deep inguinal group of limb nodes. Very important deep inguinal group of limb nodes. Okay, so which will be enlarged in case of any infections of the lower limb. Okay, so these are some of the important contents of this triangle called as the femoral triangle. Femoral artery, femoral vein, femoral nerve. Along with that, there are other nerves as well as the deep inguinal group of limb nodes. Now coming to the profunda femoris artery. I said one of the very important branches of the femoral artery, okay, is the deep one of the deep branches, that is called as the profunda femoris artery, which is a branch from the femoral artery. So what is this profunda femoris artery? It is also called as the deep artery of the thigh. So this is the femoral artery coming all the way from the inguinal mid-inguinal point below downwards through the femoral triangle. And it is giving a branch here. This is called as the deep artery of the thigh. Deep artery of the thigh, or it is also called as the profunda femoris artery. So this is the chief source of blood supply to all the three compartments of the thigh. The thigh has three compartments, as you already know. There are three compartments. The medial, there is the anterior compartment. Then we have the medial compartment and the posterior compartment. Okay. So it is also medial compartment is also called as the adductor compartment, and the anterior compartment and the posterior compartment. So it will supply this femoral profunda femoris artery will supply all the three compartments, the whole of the thigh. To be simple, it will supply the whole of the thigh. So this beginning of this profunda femoris artery is it is one of the largest branch of the femoral artery. So the femoral artery is giving this branch. This is the largest branch. That is the deep artery of the thigh or the profunda femoris artery. Both are same, which begins from the lateral side. As you can see here, it is coming from the lateral side. 1.5 inches below the inguinal ligament, almost 1.5 inches below the inguinal ligament. So it comes from the lateral side, 1.5 inches below the inguinal ligament. What is the course and relation? It runs lateral to the femoral artery. As you can see here, it is running lateral to the femoral artery, and it gives multiple branches to all the compartments of the thigh. So it will supply all the muscles of the thigh itself. So what are the branches it will be giving? If you see here, now you can see here, this is the femoral artery, and here is the profunda femoris artery or the deep artery of the thigh. Okay, so it will be giving multiple branches. So this artery, this is the the profunda femoris artery, which is giving all the branches in the thigh. Which are those? One is called as the lateral circumflex femoral artery. If you see here, at the beginning, as soon as it comes near the neck of the femur, it is giving the lateral circumflex femoral artery as well as the medial also. So one is going the front, one is going on the back. So one is medial femoral circumflex femoral artery, and one is the lateral circumflex femoral artery. Two important branches. Then it will be giving multiple perforating branches. All these are called as the perforating branches. So as you can see here, this is the first perforating branch. This is called as the second perforating. Then we have the third perforating branch. So in that fashion, it will be giving four perforating arteries. Okay, which pierce the adductor magnus. There is a very important muscle here called as the adductor magnus. Close to its insertion, give muscular branches, cutaneous as well as the anastomotic branches, and winds around the femur to terminate in the vastus lateralis. So these are the details, just you should remember. So it will be giving four perforating branches, as well as it will be giving the medial as well as lateral circumflex femoral artery. So the nutrient artery to the femur arises from the second perforating artery. This is the second perforating artery, which will give a branch to the bone femur, the bone femur. It will be supplying the bone femur also. That is called as the nutrient artery, which will supply the nutrition to the bone of femur. So that is coming from the second perforating branch. Okay. Then it will be also giving multiple muscular branches. All the muscles will be covered here, and all the muscles are supplied by this artery. That is the profunda femoris artery or the deep artery of the thigh. So these are the four important branches. One is the lateral circumflex, as you can see here, lateral medial circumflex near the neck of the femur. Then we have these four perforating branches, 1, 2, 3, as well as the fourth here. Then the second will give the nutrient artery to the bone of femur. Then it will be giving multiple muscular branches. So these are the branches from the profunda femoris artery. Now coming to the arteries of the gluteal region. So what are the arteries of the gluteal region? So if you see here, there are three arteries coming into the gluteal region through the greater sciatic foramen. Gluteal region, where is the gluteal region? Here. This is the gluteal region. So what we were studying here was in the thigh. Now we are going to the gluteal region. So this is the gluteal region where we have three important arteries which are supplying the gluteal region coming through the greater sciatic foramen. Here there is greater sciatic foramen through which the sciatic nerve will come. Okay, so what are these arteries in the gluteal? One is called as the superior gluteal artery. This is the superior gluteal artery. Then we have the inferior gluteal artery here, the inferior gluteal artery. Then we have the internal pudendal artery. There is the third, that is the internal pudendal. Superior gluteal artery, inferior gluteal artery, and the internal pudendal artery. These are the three important arteries which will supply the whole region of the gluteal region. These arteries are the branches of the internal iliac artery, directly from the internal area. As you saw, this is the internal iliac artery here. This is the external iliac artery, which is the continuation of which continues as the femoral artery. Then there is the internal iliac artery. This is the internal iliac artery, which will supply all the structures in the pelvis, as well as even it gives branches to the gluteal region. So that is the, so all these three branches are coming from the internal iliac artery. Okay. So here again you can see here, this is the superior gluteal artery, inferior gluteal artery, as well as the internal pudendal artery. Now, this femoral artery will continue into the popliteal region as the popliteal artery. What is popliteal region? This is the back of the knee, back of the knee. Here, this region is called as the popliteal region. So if you see here, this is the femoral artery going all the way from the thigh and entering into the back of thigh, that is called as popliteal region. So that's why this artery now becomes popliteal artery. Till now here it was the femoral artery. Once it enters the popliteal region, then it is called as the popliteal artery. Here you can see again. So this is the same artery coming here into the popliteal region. Till here in the thigh it was the femoral artery. Once it enters the popliteal, this is the popliteal region, it becomes the popliteal artery. Okay, so this is the deepest structure of the popliteal contents. So in the popliteal region, as you saw, popliteal region or the popliteal popliteal fossa is a region within which the popliteal artery will be the deepest. Okay, other structures are superficial. So the artery, feeling the artery, pulsation of the artery here is difficult. Okay. So this is the deepest artery of the popliteal contents, begins with the continuation of the femoral artery, as we already saw, as I said before. So it will continue as the femoral artery will continue into the popliteal region as the popliteal artery. So it is continuation of the femoral artery and begins from the hiatus magnus. So here this is called as, this opening here is called as the hiatus magnus. Okay. So here also, if you can see here, this is called as the adductor hiatus or hiatus magnus. Okay. So this hiatus means opening here. Okay, which opens the structures from the thigh into the popliteal region. This opening is called as the hiatus. So here also you can see it is piercing. Okay. Pose runs vertically downwards and terminates at the lower border of the popliteus muscle by dividing into anterior and posterior tibial artery. Now, if you see here, this artery will go down and then it will divide into two branches. If you see here, so it is going all the way up to here, then it divides into two important branches. Okay. So it will divide into anterior as well as the posterior tibial artery. You see here, so it will be dividing into here. It is giving one branch called as the anterior tibial artery. Then the other branch is the posterior tibial artery. So in the lower border of the popliteal fossa, it divides into two branches: the posterior tibial artery, this one, and the anterior tibial artery. Anterior tibial artery will go in the front, and this is going in the back. So this is the back view. Okay, this is from the back. As I said, the popliteal fossa is behind the knee joint. Okay. So this, what is the relations of the popliteal artery? It is medial in the upper third, deep in the middle third, and lateral in the lower third. Okay, to the tibial nerve. In relation to the tibial nerve, there will be literature. Okay, so this is the tibial nerve coming. Okay, in relation to the tibial nerve, in the upper one third, middle one third, and lateral one third, lower one third. In the upper one third, it will be medial. In the middle one third, it will be deep, and in the lower one third, it will become lateral. Okay, so that is some of the relations. Okay, medial in the upper one third, deep in the middle third, and lateral in the lower third of the, in relation to the tibial nerve. In relation to the tibial nerve. Separation from the tibial nerve by the presence of popliteal vein. In between the tibial nerve and the artery, if you see again, so between the artery and the nerve, so if you see here, it is much more clear. So between the artery and the nerve, there is the vein called as the popliteal vein. So between the artery and the nerve, tibial nerve and the popliteal artery is the popliteal vein. So that is what is mentioned here, separated from the tibial nerve by the presence of the popliteal vein. So this popliteal artery is separated from the tibial nerve by the presence of the popliteal vein. Now coming to the branches of this popliteal artery, it will be giving muscular branches. which will supply the adductor magnus, hamstring, gastrocnemius, soleus, as well as plantar muscle, very important muscles which are all around here. Okay, so adductor magnus as well as hamstring muscles will be present in the thigh, and the gastrocnemius, soleus, as well as plantaris will be present in the leg. Okay, so it will supply all the muscles. Then it will also use genicular branches. Genu means the knee. Genu means the knee. So it will be giving genicular branches. So if you can see here, superior medial genicular branch, and then we can see the inferior lateral genicular branch, superior lateral genicular artery. So all these are branches coming from the popliteal artery itself. Okay. So anastomosis around the knee joint. This is very important. These genicular branches, and we'll study why. Okay. So what is the anastomosis around the knee joint? Anastomosis means connection between the artery. That is called anastomosis. If you see here, so here it is simple artery, but as soon as it comes near the joint, the knee joint, it becomes, see, it will begin multiple branches and in it anastomosis with each other. Why it is so? Because whenever you are moving or folding your knees and flexing as well as extending the knee, at that time these arteries can be compressed. So if there is compression for a long time, then the area it is supplying will be lead to hypoxia. So to prevent that, there is a continuous anastomosis between arteries. If one artery cannot supply, then the other arteries can compensate. Okay. So these branches will form an anastomosis around, that is called as anastomosis around the knee joint. So the knee joint is richly vascular, supplied by the anastomosis of the following, which are those the five genicular branches of the popliteal artery. So this is the popliteal artery. It will give five genicular branches. Sorry, so it will give genicular branches which will supply the genu, that is the joint, knee joint. One is the superior lateral genicular artery, inferior lateral genicular artery. Here is the superior medial genicular artery, and here is the inferior medial genicular artery. So five genicular branches will be from the popliteal artery. Then also the descending genicular branch of the femoral artery. It will also give the descending genicular branches. Okay. Then it will also give the descending branch of the lateral circumflex femoral artery. So it will be also giving the descending genicular. If you see here, there is the descending genicular artery. Okay. So this is the descending genicular branch of the femoral artery. This is the coming from the femoral artery. Then it also gives the descending branch of the lateral circumflex femoral artery. It will also give the descending branch of the lateral circumflex femoral artery. Then it also gives two recurrent branches. Recurrent branches means they go up. Okay, so once they don't descend downwards like other arteries, they are all descending. But here they will go back. So these are called as the recurrent branches. So two recurrent branches of the anterior tibial artery. So here you can see the recurrent branch of the anterior tibial artery. This is the anterior tibial artery. It is giving the recurrent branch. Okay. As you know, the popliteal artery divides into anterior tibial as well as the posterior tibial. So the anterior tibial is giving the recurrent branch of the anterior tibial artery. Then the circumflex fibular branch of the posterior tibial artery. The posterior tibial artery also gives the circumflex fibular. If you see here, circumflex fibular artery. So this is the recurrent branch of the anterior tibial artery, and this circumflex fibular artery is the branch from the posterior tibial artery. So all these branches with anastomosis around the knee joint, and they help in the better supply of the knee joint. If there is any compression of one artery, then the other arteries will compensate. So there is no deficiency and there is no hypoxia of the muscles. Okay, so this is the anastomosis around the knee joint. Now coming downwards, once the popliteal artery divides into anterior tibial artery and the posterior tibial artery will supply the posterior compartment of the thigh, and the anterior artery will go in the front and will supply the anterior compartment of the thigh. Okay. Okay. Okay, the anterior artery, the main artery of the anterior compartment of the leg. As I said, the anterior compartment is the anterior artery is going in the front, and it supplies the anterior part. This is the posterior view. We are not just seeing the branch coming from the popliteal artery, and it is going in the front. Okay, so but it will supply the mainly the anterior compartment of the leg. Okay, the origin, smaller terminal branch of the popliteal artery. So popliteal artery, as we said, gives two important branches. The larger artery is the posterior tibial artery, and the anterior tibial artery is the smaller branch. So this is the smaller terminal branch of the popliteal artery. Terminations end by becoming as the dorsalis pedis artery. Later I will show you how it goes in the front and becomes the dorsalis pedis artery. I will show you later. In the front it will go over the dorsum of the foot and then become the dorsalis pedis artery. Between the ends by becoming the dorsalis pedis artery between the two malleolus, lateral and the medial. This is called as the malleolus on either side, lateral and medial malleolus. It will be giving muscular branches which will supply the anterior muscles of the leg as well as the anastomosis branch around the knee and ankle. As we saw, it will be giving the circumflex fibular artery here. You can see here, as well as even it will give the anastomosing branch around the ankle joint. This is called as ankle. This is the knee joint and this is the ankle joint. Now coming to the posterior tibial artery, that is the larger branch from the popliteal artery. So here is the posterior tibial artery. This is the popliteal artery. It continues as the posterior tibial artery. Okay. So this is the main artery of the back of the leg. This is the back of the leg, and this is the main artery. If you see here, this is how it looks like. So deep inside it will be there. Here these are the superficial nerves and fascia. Deep inside will be the popliteal artery, the posterior tibial artery. Popliteal artery continues as the posterior tibial artery in the leg. So this is the main artery of the back of the leg. The origin, larger terminal branch of the popliteal artery, as we said. So it is a larger branch from the popliteal artery. Termination at the flexor retinaculum into the lateral and medial plantar artery. If you see here, it comes down and it divides into two types of branches, lateral and medial plantar arteries, which will supply the plantar compartment of the foot, means the sole of the foot. It will supply the sole, which is also called as the plantar compartment. So it will divide into medial and lateral plantar arteries. What are the branches coming from this posterior tibial artery? This is the posterior tibial artery. So one is the peroneal, or it is also called as the fibular branch. It will be giving one artery called as the fibular artery, supply the posterior and lateral compartment of the leg. It will be giving a branch called a fibular branch or peroneal branch, which will supply the posterior and lateral compartment of the leg. Then it will be giving multiple muscular branches. As you can see here, that is giving multiple branches to the surrounding muscles. Then it also gives the nutrient artery to the tibia as well as even the fibula. So both the bones. Nutrient arteries are the arteries supplying the bones. Then anastomotic branches, as we saw, it will anastomosis around the knee joint as well as near the ankle joint. So it will be giving anastomotic branches. Then we have the terminal branches, which are the medial and lateral plantar. As we saw, that it will divide terminally into medial and lateral plantar branches. Okay, so this was all about the arterial supply. So if you have doubts still here, anything doubts, you can ask me.
Okay, Doctor.
Okay, so we'll continue further to the venous drainage of the lower limb. Venous drainage. So the venous drainage is classified into three groups: the deep, superficial, and perforating. Three types of veins here. That is called a superficial, deep, and perforating. The superficial veins will be the great and the small saphenous veins. So if you see here, this is the femoral artery. We just see here also you can see this is the femoral artery. Just beside that, this vein here, this is called as the great saphenous vein, which is beginning from the foot. Okay, and it goes from the dorsum of the foot, goes all the way, and it drains all of the lower limb, and then finally it opens into the femoral vein. This is the femoral vein. Shorter vein is the femoral vein. The main vein will be the great saphenous vein. Then along with that, just beside that, there is a smaller vein called as the small saphenous vein, which becomes continues from the lateral side and continues, and then it opens early into the femoral vein. So this is called the small saphenous, great saphenous vein and the small saphenous vein. These are superficial veins, and their tributaries, the veins which will open into this, or their tributaries, will be also part of this. These are the superficial veins. So among these, the most important will be the great saphenous, as I said, because this is the main vein which will be draining the lower limb. So the great, or sometimes it is also called as the long saphenous vein. Usually we call it as great saphenous vein, but this is also called as the long saphenous vein. Okay, this is the longest vein here in case of the lower limb, and begins from the medial end of the dorsal venous arch. If you see here, there is a venous arch, just like in case of the upper limb also. We saw that the dorsal venous arch. Okay, similarly, in case of the in the hand, we saw the dorsal venous arch. Similarly, we have dorsal venous arch on the dorsum of the foot also. So this is the dorsal venous arch where all the small veins will open into this arch. Then it continues from the medial side as the great saphenous vein. Okay, till it opens into the femoral vein. So beginning from the medial end of the dorsal venous arch, as you can see a medial end of the dorsal venous arch, termination, it will goes all the way and opens into the femoral vein. As we saw, it will open into this vein called as the femoral vein. Coming to the tributaries, what are the small veins which will open into this the great saphenous vein? So at the beginning, here at the beginning, there will be the medial marginal vein from the sole. So if you can see here, there will be medial marginal vein which will be opening from the sole, coming from the sole, and it will drain. Okay, in the leg, here, this is the leg. There will be the small saphenous vein and the deep veins all open into this. The small saphenous vein as well as the deep vein will also open through the, there are something called as the perforating veins. And just below the knee, we can see there will be the anterior vein of the leg and the posterior arch vein. All will open into the great saphenous vein. So all these are the tributaries of the great saphenous vein. In case of the thigh, so this is the great saphenous vein opening into the femoral vein. Okay, so this is the great saphenous vein. In the thigh, there will be something called as the accessory saphenous vein as well as the anterior cutaneous vein of the thigh. All these are small veins. They have not been shown in the pictures, any pictures, but you can imagine that they are coming from all the way and they are draining just before piercing the cribriform fascia. If you see here, it will, as I said, this is the superficial vein. So now it will go deep because femoral vein is a deep vein. So it has to go deep. So it pierces here something called as there is an opening called as this saphenous opening, and there is a thin fascia called as the cribriform fascia. Cribriform fascia means which has multiple holes, that is called as cribriform fascia. So just before it piercing the cribriform fascia, it will receive three superficial veins. One is the superficial epigastric vein, then there is the superficial circumflex vein, circumflex iliac vein. Then we have the superficial external pudendal vein, superficial external pudendal. These are the three veins which will open into the great saphenous vein before it opens into the femoral vein through the cribriform fascia. Through the cribriform fascia. These are the three veins: superficial circumflex iliac vein, so superficial epigastric vein, and the superficial external pudendal veins. Okay. Then just before termination, there will be one more vein which will open, that is called as the deep external pudendal vein. Deep external pudendal vein. Again, it is not shown here. So there will be the deep external, this is the superficial external pudendal vein. Just deep to that, there will be one also called as the deep external pudendal vein that will open, and finally this great saphenous vein will open into the femoral vein, which is deep inside. Okay. Now coming to the why it is so important, great saphenous vein. As I said, this is the main vein which will be draining the lower limb. but this is also very prone for pathologies. One of the most important commonest pathology, the varicosity of the vein. So if you see here, this is the normal saphenous vein where you cannot see the saphenous vein at all. But here, this is called as the varicosity of the vein, varicose vein, where the vein loses its patency, the valves of the vein. As you know, the veins have valves, so which will help in unidirectional flow, and there is no back flow because the valves will be opening in only one direction towards the heart. Okay, so the blood can be pumped up, but it will not come down. But if the valves lose their patency, there is a reverse flow of blood. So because of the reverse flow, the vein becomes tortuous and more prominent because of the accumulation of venous blood. So now this is called as the varicosity of the vein. This is common in those people who stand for a very long time, like the surgeons, the bus conductors, and other any profession which will ask the person to stand for a very long time. In those kind of patients, there will be varicosity. It is common in case of male than the female. Mm, stop here. Okay, we'll stop here. We'll continue from the short saphenous vein in the next class, which is 12 o'clock. Okay. So if you have any doubts still here, you can just ask me.
Thank you, Doctor.
Doubts? Okay. Okay, so we'll continue with this lecture at 12 o'clock again. Okay.
Doctor, why we don't continue now?
Uh, because Dr. Lamia wants it to be in two classes. Okay. I could have taken it in one class, but she wanted it to be in two classes, so we'll have it in two classes. Okay. We'll follow the timetable and whatever your course coordinator demands. Okay.